Chapter 28. When all the excitement was over, I checked my HUD and leveled. Apparently, daring rescues and space battles scored very well. My hacked skills aside, the number of experience points I had logged brought me to level 24. We'd all racked up experience. Me son was 21, Charles 19, and Niana 18. With most of our year yet before us, the human delegation had already exceeded 80 levels. Together, Steve and Temret and the humans had rescued my father, the members of the selection committee, and the crew of the Dependable, whom everyone thought dead. We'd uncovered a traitor to Earth and the Confederation. We were also returning to Confederation Central with not one, but 2 captured Fadic ships. Prizes that would turn the tide of the war, maybe even end it. I hated to be so self-congratulatory, but there was no getting around it. We were heroes. As soon as we were safely aboard the Dependable, and the captain had thoroughly debriefed us, we all retreated to separate cabins. Having not washed in many days, I was relieved to discover that the Fads, despite their habits of public vomiting, did believe in cleanliness, and there was something like a shower in the bathroom. The water shot upward and in streams hard enough to poke your eyes out, but I wasn't complaining. I no longer stank, and that was a relief to me. It would have been a relief to others if I'd been around anyone, but as soon as I was out of the shower/torture device, I plopped down on my bed and slept for about 10 hours. When I emerged, we were still the better part of a day out from Confederation Central. My head was clearer, but I was starving. I checked my bracelet and saw that someone had thoughtfully already uploaded a limited schematic for the Fadic ship, so I followed the directions to the mess. No one else was there, but I soon discovered that the Dependable's crew had again shown great wisdom, this time in converting the food production unit to Confederation standard fare. I was never so happy to have bland grain porridge. I'd finished my first bowl and was seriously considering a second when Tamret came into the room and sat down across from me. She'd also changed and showered, but her clothes had obviously been ruined. She wore some kind of workman's coveralls, and while they were not the most flattering clothes in the world, Tamret made them look stylish. "How did you know I'd be in here?" I asked. She placed her elbow on the table and rested her chin on her palm. "I programmed my data bracelet to let me know when you woke up, and to keep me updated about your movements." "Are you supposed to do that?" I asked. She shook her head very slowly, but smiled. Thoughts of bland porridge now vanished. My heart pounded, and I could feel my face growing hot. All this time, I'd wanted to say something to Tamret, to tell her how I felt about her, but I'd always been afraid, or decided there was too much going on to risk it. Now we were alone, and the danger was behind us, and I had nothing to lose because I'd already gained so much. I'd taken on soldiers, outwitted my enemies, broke into a prison, and bested a flying saucer in a space battle. But none of that felt to me as terrifying as the prospect of telling Tamret just how much I liked her. She took a deep breath and sat up. "I need to tell you something." No conversation that began that way ever ended well. My heart felt like it was ready to explode. She was going to tell me that she liked me, but not in that way. That she knew I wanted something else, but she only wanted to be friends. I could feel it. So I closed my eyes and braced myself. She looked down and away, as if ashamed. Tamret was always so brash, so confident, but not anymore. "On my world, there are illustrated stories, both books and moving images. Do you know what I mean?" "Sure, comics and cartoons. She'd definitely come to the right person with this. But I was thinking this was a bit of a strange way to begin the I like you but talk." "Well, there's a kind of character," she said, her voice trembling. "A regular Raro boy, but with monkey features too. They're always really attractive, and I guess what I'm trying to say is that you look like one to me." I sat in stunned silence, knowing I should say something, but I was a little too blindsided by this revelation to remember how to communicate. I was her version of a Neko. That's what she was telling me. I was some kind of animated, romanticized object. I felt a little insulted and objectified, but I also figured that if it worked in my favor, I could live with it. She was looking down now, unable to meet my eye. When I first saw you that night in the restaurant with Steve, I couldn't believe it. I'd always kind of had a thing for monkey boys, and I knew it was stupid because you are what your species looks like, and it didn't seem right to like you just because of that. But now I know I like you because of you, Zeke. After everything we've been through, I thought it was important that you know you're more to me than some weird space creature who looks like he's from an illustrated book. Thanks for telling me, I said, reaching out and taking her hand. I wanted to talk to you too. I didn't know if you liked me the way I like you. Well, that's because you're not so bright, she said. She looked up at me, smiling, and she appeared as happy as I'd ever seen her. I felt like I'd do anything to keep her looking that way. Ever since I'd arrived at the station, I'd been circling around in Tamrat's orbit, and now I understood she'd been circling in mine. We'd been bound together from the beginning. We were entangled, and I wasn't going to wait, or think, or wonder. I'd once told myself that I had a year to try and make sense of things, but I had far less time than that, and the time for waiting was over now. Tamrat leaned towards me. I should probably warn you I can be a little intense. Well, there may have been hints of that, I told her. Nobody's perfect. She cocked her head to one side. No, but you're pretty good. I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw her in all of her incredibly alien and slightly insane beauty. She was the most confounding and beguiling girl I'd ever met. All it had taken to find her was crossing vast expanses of space. And all I'd had to do to keep her was fend off an evil empire that wanted me dead. Hey, nobody ever said these things would be easy. Tamrat and I walked out into the hall holding hands, and nearly bumped into my father. He changed clothes, and now wore one of the same utility outfits as Tamrat. And he kind of looked like a green bodybuilder. Tamrat immediately let go of my hand and stood nervously. Dang, Dad, I said. You've been hitting the iron. It's all for show, he said with an embarrassed grin. Part of the conversion process. I'm not actually any stronger, but I figured if I was going to make myself a superhero, I might as well go all the way. Well, I can't argue with that, I said. He now turned to Tamrat. I don't think I ever thanked you for helping me to escape. It was my honor, sir, she said. Tamrat seemed nervous, and she was actually showing respect for my father. I'd never seen her be deferent with anyone. I felt so touched that I wanted to hug her. I should go, she said. Let you two catch up. She hurried down the hallway, and we watched her leave. I like her, my father said. But you need to be careful. She can be a little out there, I said. But she's not dangerous. As soon as I said that, I knew it was a flat-out lie. She was probably the most dangerous being I'd ever known. Or was that Steve? She was easily top two, but they were both on my side, so that made it okay. I don't mean that, he said. I mean your feelings. You two are only on the station for a year. It's probably not a good idea to get too attached. I didn't want to think about that. But Earth's admission is a lock, I said. It'll be a long time before Earth citizens are going to be traveling through the Confederation. I don't know, I said. You seem to have managed. It came out more cruelly than I'd intended. I wanted to take it back, but I let it hang there. My father glanced away, embarrassed. I know we have a lot to talk about. I know you're angry with me for leaving, and I don't blame you. I'm not angry, I said, and I found as I spoke the words that they were true. Maybe I would have been if he hadn't been right there, next to me looking impossibly green, but we were back together. I understood what he'd told me in the prison, and I believed him. He'd been faced with an impossible choice, and he'd made the best decision. It's just that it was really hard without you, I told him. I know it was, he said. But that's done. We're going to have to figure out what comes next. Do you think you can come back to Earth? I asked. He looked down at himself.
I'll need to be converted again, but yeah. The truth is, I'm not going to get such a warm reception back at the station. I broke a lot of laws to do what I did. I gestured all around us. But you did it for good reason. You're bringing this ship back. You saved the Confederation. He shrugged. I think that was you and your friends. And yes, things worked out as well as I could have hoped, but that doesn't change the basic fact that now I'm a criminal. That's okay, though. I did what I had to do. If the Confederation is no longer in danger, then Earth is also safe, and I don't need to be here anymore. As long as no one is too angry, they'll go for exile rather than imprisonment. And I can come back to you and your mom. At some point, I'd have to tell him about Mom being sick, but I didn't want to upset him now. Besides, it didn't matter. With our 80 levels in the bag, we would be entered into the Confederation, which would begin with them giving us the technology that would cure my mother. She was only a few months away from being disease-free. The whole world was. I couldn't believe I played a key role in changing everyone's lives, in making the entire world a better place. But there was no denying it, and there was no denying my father had made it all possible. The quality of life for every single person on Earth was going to improve because of what my father had set in motion. And I was very proud to be his son.
Listen, he said. Would you like to come with me?
To do what? I asked.
To talk to your friend, Nora Price. I have some questions, and I thought you might too.
I'm game, I nodded.